Good morning, Algebra students. Mr. Belky back with Lesson 11.7, Rational Expressions with Unlike Denominators. Let's get started. First, we need to talk about least common multiples of polynomials. How do you find the least common multiple of a polynomial? So first, let's consider 15 m squared b to the third and 18 mb squared. Okay, what's the least common multiple of those? And that the reason we want to work on finding the least common multiple is because when we have fractions later on that have unlike denominators, we want to use the least common multiple to find a common denominator. Okay, so these can be split apart. 15 is 3 times 5 times m times b times b times b. And 18 would be 2 times 3 times 3 times m times b times b. Now, in order to find the least common multiple, we want to find the greatest number of times each factor appears. Okay, so here's 2. The greatest number of times 2 appears is once. So we're going to take 1, 2. The next factor we have is 3. Over here it occurs twice. Here it occurs once, so we're going to take the one that occurs twice. So 2 times 3 times 3. 5 occurs once, so we're going to take that one. M occurs once over here, but it occurs twice over here, so we want m times m. And b occurs twice here, but it occurs 3 times over here, so we want those 3 b's. Okay, so then this would be 2 times 3 times 3 times 5. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 5 is 30, and then 30 times 3 is 90. And I got 2 m's, so m squared, and 3 b's, b to the third. So the least common multiple of these two numbers is 90m squared b to the third. Okay? That's all well and good, but what if we have something that's just a little bit different, like x squared plus 8x plus 15 and x squared plus x minus 6. Okay, now when we look at these guys, notice these were all being multiplied together. These are being added, so there are 3 separate terms. These are trinomials. So what we could do here is we can factor them out, because when we factor them out, then we have 2 sets of numbers that are being multiplied together. So I want 2 numbers that multiplied give me 15, added give me 8. And you're thinking to yourself, well, Mr. Belky, that's easy. It's got to be 3 and 5. So x plus 3, x plus 5. Notice those are being multiplied together. Okay, and then this one, 2 numbers that multiplied give me negative 6, added give me 1, and you're saying, Mr. Belky, come on, that's x plus 3, x minus 2. All right, so now you look at this and you say to yourself, which one has, which factor appears the greatest number of times? Or you want to use each factor the greatest number of times that it appears. So x minus 2 appears once, so I'm going to use 1 x minus 2. X plus 3 appears once in each one, so I'm not taking 2 of them because it only appears once in each of these different trinomials, so I can only take a maximum of 1 of them. So x plus 3 occurs 1 time, and then x plus 5 occurs 1 time. So the least common multiple of these 2 numbers is that right there. All right, so let's take a look at how this applies. So if I have a plus 1 over a plus 1 over a, plus a minus 3 over 3a. Now, in order to add these, I need a common denominator. Okay, so looking at my denominator, I want something that's common between those 2. And if I break them apart, I can see that 3a is going to be my common denominator. And so this one's already good. This one I have to change. And the way I can change this is I can multiply it by 3. But if I multiply the bottom by 3, I also have to multiply the top by 3. Okay, I got to keep it equal. All right, because 3 over 3 is the same as 1, and if I multiply it by 1, I haven't changed the value. All right, so now I have 3 times a, which is 3a, plus 3 times 1, which is 3, over 3a, plus a minus 3 over 3a. So I have 3a plus 3 plus a minus 3 over 3a. Okay, now can I combine things? Sure, 3, positive 3 and minus 3 is going to cancel out. 3a plus another a would be 4a, so I got 4a over 3a. My a's can cancel out, which leaves me with 4/3 or 1 1/3. Okay, either way is fine. All right, one more kind of twist to this. Let's take a look at example 3. So when I have polynomials in the denominator, so what if I have something like this? 4 over 3a minus 6 minus a over a plus 2. Okay, so now I got polynomials in the denominator, and I got to figure out what the least common multiple is here. All right. Well, what I can do is I could factor out a 3 from here, and if I factor out a 3, then I'm left with a minus 2, and then over here I have a plus 2. Okay, so those are both different. And so my least common denominator is going to be this 3, this a minus 2, and this a plus 2. Okay, so on this side I have 4. What do I need to add to this denominator? I got to add an a plus 2, so I'm going to multiply this whole side by a plus 2. And remember, I got to do the same thing top and bottom, a plus 2. So now I got 4 times a plus 2 on the top. 4 times a plus 2. And over here, I have to multiply this a by 3a minus 2 and 3a minus 2. Okay, multiplying those all together. Now, 3 times a would be, actually these are subtracting, not adding, subtracting. Minus 3 times a is 3a times a minus 2. Okay. Now, if I simplify this out, 4a times a is 4a, and 4 times 2 is 8, minus 3a times a. 3a times a would be minus 3a squared, and negative 3a times negative 2 would be a positive 6a. Okay? And so, can I combine things? Sure, I got my negative, I'm going to put this in first position. I'm going to combine these two guys, and then this will be in last position, because this is all over 3a minus 2, a plus 2. Okay, so now I have negative 3a squared, and then combine my 4a and my 6a. 4a and 6a would be plus 10a plus 8 over 3 times a minus 2, a plus 2. And that's it. Totally simplified right there. So that's what we're working on. First, finding the least common multiple so we can get a common denominator. And then once we have a common denominator, then simply going through and simplifying. As always, if you have any questions, please feel free to call, text, email, or join me online tomorrow between 9 and 10 o'clock. Have Have a fantastic day.